What's up, everybody? Michael Walsh here. So today I want to shout out Amnesia the Bunker, one of the best horror games I've ever played. It's been on my radar a long time. I finally got around to it, and holy shit, did it deliver. It is like instantly like on my list of favorite games ever. You know, top 20, top 30, something like that. It would show up. It's terrific. For those of you who don't know, it's part of the Amnesia like franchise, but it's different in the sense that it's a little bit like truer to the survival horror formula in terms of acquiring items and like solving problems and exploring the map and so on. And it has the sort of like stalker villain element. There is this enemy that is kind of constantly present that you always have to be on the watch out for. It's this giant monster that's following you. The setting of the game is a World War I bunker. And that's a terrific horror setting. And yes, there's this monster in the walls because you're in the tunnels and whatnot in this bunker. And there's this monster in the walls that's kind of killed everyone there already. And you wind up and stuck in this bunker and have to navigate your way through. And you always have to be on the lookout for this enemy. It's sort of like the alien from Alien Isolation or like Mr. X from Resident Evil 2. It's that kind of villain. You have some ability to interact with it and escape it and discourage it, but you can't kill it, okay? So it's not fully a, like, oh, I just have to run and hide from all the monsters kind of game, but you also can't actually kill this monster. You can do stuff, again, to kind of halt it or discourage it or something whilst you run and escape, but it's that dynamic, and it's a shorter game. I've done videos covering this, how like many of the best games of all time are kind of short. They're like 12 hours or shorter. Hold on one moment. This is a shorter game still. I think like on how long to beat, it's only like a 4 to 6 hour game. I don't know exactly how long it took me, but yeah, it was definitely shorter than like even Resident Evil 1 or Resident Evil 2. And I'm okay with that. Like, there are some terrific shorter games. Like Hyper Light Drifter is a shorter game, especially for its genre. But a perk of that is it can be kind of all killer, no filler. You know? And I don't know what exactly the Amnesia game is like priced at present, because it's been in my backlog. I got it on sale some time ago. I just never got around to playing it. But it's not like a full price game at present, I doubt. Like Hyper Light Drifter is not a fucking like $60 game, right? So I'd highly encourage you to check out both of those. But as far as Amnesia, the way it works is, and part of what's unique about it is that it's a survival horror game, but it's also an immersive sim of sorts. Like, you have shitloads of interactability with objects in the environment, and you have a lot of different ways in which you can solve problems. There are a lot of situations where you've got to get to a certain room, get into a certain room, and there's some thing prohibiting you from getting in there. The door is locked, whatever, there's stuff in the way. And there's typically multiple ways to solve that problem. Likewise, there will be like shit you want to get at. So for example, there's dog tags laying around from the dead soldiers who were previously there, and commonly they will like have the combinations to their lockers written on the back of their dog tags. And so you find the room with the lockers, and there's lots of items that you need in those lockers, but they're all locked up. And some of those items can be necessary for like plot progression, and some of them are just very helpful. But regardless, you're always on the lookout for these dog tags and trying to find the codes. And sometimes you'll stumble upon like a corpse that's being attacked by rats, which are sort of the secondary, like minor enemy, because there's like these giant rats all over the place and they will bite you. But there's like several ways to get rid of the rats. Like you can make a torch, you can get a flare and throw it at them, you can shoot them, there's like stuff you can do. And the game is very literal and very like very realistic in terms of like time consumption. So for example, your revolver, you never have a shitload of bullets, but you do get a revolver early on, and you can find bullets for it. And it's the sort of game where if you want to load the revolver, you open the cylinder and you like press a button for each bullet you put in. You know what I mean? That kind of game. And I think that's terrific. I am a fan of the immersive sim genre. You know, I'm a big like Dishonored fan, for example. I still need to get around to playing Deus Ex, but I like the genre, and I very much like when games are sort of immersive sim adjacent. You know, include immersive sim elements, even if they're not necessarily like a full blown immersive sim in the classical sense. So, for example, like Breath of the Wild is terrific for the amount of interactivity there is. Like games where you can just kind of go where you can see and where there's a physics-based approach to the gameplay and where you can interact with many things in the environment. That's a thing I'm very fond of. Even, you know, like Morrowind and these sort of Elder Scrolls games do a lot of that, which I like. Even Halo has some immersive sim elements, especially like the earlier games. You know, you think of like Halo Combat Evolved or Halo 3. You know, you think of like in Combat Evolved where you can do something like if it's the mission Assault on the Control Room, you're on these giant bridges that are way up in the air that are kind of connecting these two mountains, and down below or connecting these two cliffs in this canyon, and down below at the bottom you'll eventually go down the elevators and like emerge down there and face enemies down there. You can do things where you can like kill an elite and have them fall off the bridge and land down below. And then like 10 minutes later, when you get to that part of the map, that guy's corpse is just laying there. It doesn't go away. And you can do stuff like, famously, if you melee the corpse over and over again, blood will come out. So you can just do that until there's a giant pool of blood and like the frame rate drops and shit like that. And, you know, you can of course use like chain explosions together. So if you like, if you're playing co-op, people would do shit where they'd like melee each other in the back and take turns doing that, because then you drop the grenades and then you get this pile of grenades and then you throw one and it just turns into this giant explosion. And if you're in the vehicles, it'll, you know, you could be in a Scorpion and set it off and the Scorpion will go flipping and flying. Like that kind of shit really elevates a game for me. And yeah, to see this done for this genre, the survival horror genre, is a perfect match. It's a match made in heaven. And it really adds to the slow-paced, problem-solving, like constant dread side of that genre. I think it works perfectly. Some more kind of gameplay details. You're navigating the bunker, and the bunker is naturally dark. You have to keep the generator running, which requires fuel, so you're constantly looking for fuel canisters to fill the generator, and you have a stopwatch that's synced to the generator, so you'll be navigating around and you're keeping track on your stopwatch, like how much light do I have, and your goal is to get back to the save room before you run out of light. And should you run out of light, you have options. There's flares. Like I said, you can make torches. You have a flashlight, but it's a shitty flashlight and it needs to be like wound with a string, and the string makes noise. And you're constantly worried about making noise because this thing is in the walls, and if you are too loud, and if you're playing on like higher difficulties, of course, like the more quickly it will come out and punish you for being noisy. But if you're being loud, if you're using the flashlight, if you're running rather than walking, if you're interacting with objects and clanging and banging all around, like the thing will come out. So you're constantly balancing these things. Like, okay, I want to go explore, but I can only save in the save room. I don't want to go do a bunch of shit and have like the fuel generator run out of energy, run out of fuel, and then get killed on the way back to the save room. But conversely, if I'm constantly just going back and forth, if I'm constantly just being like, ooh, I went and checked out this one room and got this one item, let me run back to the save room and save. Okay, now let me run and go, get another thing. If you're doing that, then you're chewing up the fuel, because you only have so much fuel for the generator. You know, if you don't have the generator, you are going to be stuck like either walking in the dark where you can barely see anything, or using the flashlight and other things. And the monster just prowls around more when it's dark. So yeah, you're constantly balancing that stuff, and that's terrific, again, for the genre. So I really liked this game. I thought it delivered. I'd heard it hyped by certain people. And yeah, I think if you're a fan either of the kind of traditional Resident Evil style survival horror genre, or a fan of immersive sims, you know, or yeah, I guess even like a fan of the Amnesia franchise, this game is terrific and very much worth checking out. It's a very like fresh spin on all of those things, and I loved it. I'm glad I finally got around to it because again, I've had it in my backlog for some time. I'm currently trying to like navigate my way through the backlog, trying to save some money and just hit the old games I missed. Next up on the list should be Nier Automata, which that might be a game that you hear listening to this and say, what the fuck, why haven't you played that yet? How is that stuck in your backlog? God damn it. But yes, I'm aware of the hype and I like Platinum games. Hopefully it lives up to that hype. But that should be next on the docket, I'd wager. But yeah, I just wanted to shout this out because it was terrific. It lived up to my hopes and expectations. I was just having a blast playing it. Only like downside is like, yeah, it's a little short, which to me is by no means a deal breaker, but that could disappoint some people. And it's a little buggy. Like I actually had I was playing it on my PS4 and I was having issues where a couple of my save states got like fucked up where like one time I was playing and for some reason the menu just wouldn't open. Like I pressed the menu button and it wouldn't fucking work. And it wasn't my controller because it was working with other games. But it just like wouldn't work in this one save. Or I had one other save that it was stuck in this like perpetual loading animation and it just wouldn't stop. I would literally like uninstall the game and try again and it wouldn't work. So I'd have to go back to a previous save. So that's annoying. It's a little janky, but thankfully I never had to actually start over. I could just go back to old saves and the game's not that long. So it's not the end of the world to do that. But yeah, there's some jank. I've heard of people running into like some physics jank where stuff gets stuck on each other. That never really happened to me, but I've heard of that. So there's the only like red flags, I'd say. But overall, like it gets the seal of approval from old Michael, and I highly recommend it. So check it out if you have not. Check it out if that sounds up your alley. Let me know if you'd recommend any similar games. Like if you have not, subscribe if you have not. Check out my other YouTube channel if you have not. It is called Michael Walsh MMA. That is my first and kind of central YouTube channel. I used to be an MMA fighter. I've been watching MMA since like 2005. I used to teach jiu-jitsu. Like I've got a lot of shit to say about that sport. If you're interested in that sport, I'd encourage you to go check out that channel. I will link it down in the description box. But if not, you just like nerd stuff, no worries, stick around here. But in any case, take care.